Hey there, everybody. We are live for I said pre-show, but it's like more just making sure everything's working and giving people time to get here. But yeah, we're going. .org/live. Oh good, it calmed down my CPU usage. That fan gets loud in this thing. Loud, loud, loud. Talk text. Join me to discuss why psychologists are calling your kids digital natives. Period. I'm gonna tweet that. Let's go. I needed rescue. No. I'm gonna say the same thing I said. Say it again. And I'm not really gonna wait a lot for people to join. If they don't join, it's fine because this is gonna be available for subscribers forever. Like, it's just gonna keep being on the website. Keep being on the website. That's how you say that. So let's just do a quick video. Join me right now as we discuss why psychologists are calling your kids digital natives. Becausefamily.org/live, where their registration is free. See you there. All right, I'm starting in 1 minute. I'm going to email all my subscribers. Internet's slow because I'm streaming. And they're probably watching the Olympics in there too. Because that's how it works. Oh. Hi, it's me. How are you? Yeah, it's good to see you. Okay, let's see. Wow, this isn't going. Come on. Come on. I actually, in preparing my slides, I forgot that I had learned some super cool new stuff from CES that I wanted to include. So I was trying to find my notes from that, but I'm not having any luck finding them. I thought I took them in my little bitty notebook, but I didn't see them in there. So I'm looking now. I mean, I remember most of what I said, but Anyway, it's a little behind the scenes, fourth wall action. Yeah. So, send this email to these users. That's not going to happen. It's not loading. I should have done it before. Okay, we're going to get started though, and we're going to get started. Hello, Michael Prince here, K. Michael Prince on Twitter, and becausefamily.org, familytechblog.com is where we write our tech blog to help parents better understand the digital world their kids are growing up in. I have recently made the subscription to this free. This is called Raising Digital Natives. This is the first of what I'm planning to be at least 12 different sessions where we talk about the deeper, kind of more ins and outs of raising kids in this digital culture. We're going to talk about things in these webinars that I can't put into a blog post as easily, and so I just want to invite you in to join me with this. This is how we're going to do this. You should be watching at becausefamily.org/live. If you're watching there, then if you're watching live, then you'll see place at the bottom where it says have questions or got questions or just questions. You can comment in that section, ask a question, and I will answer it at the end of this talk. So you don't have to remember it. I'll go through any questions that show up, and I will answer them live in real time, not in real time, live after we're done with the walkthrough of what is digital natives. This first session. So that's how we're going to do that. If you have any questions, if you're watching this later and you have any questions, email me. I will begin the next webinar with answering the questions from the end of this webinar, questions that I didn't get while I was here. So you can email me at becausefamily@gmail.com. There's also on the home subscribers page for Raising Digital Natives, the bottom section there's a link to send me an email. Or you can just email me any questions you have about anything we talk about at this webinar. And anyway, I hope that it's good for you and helpful. It's been helpful for me as I work to educate parents, so I would imagine, and as I raise my own kids, so I would imagine it would be helpful for you as a parent as well. So let's get started. We're going to talk today about what is a digital native. The other term that they use very commonly is mobile native. And a mobile native or a digital native is, very simply put, someone who grew up or has grown up in the digital age. So basically any kid that's outside of the millennial what you'd call category. I'm a millennial barely by like a year or 2 years. I think 80 is the minimum year, or like the furthest away you could have been born. I was born in 83, so I'm just like barely 3 years away from being older than a millennial, but I'm still a millennial, I guess, kind of, in statistics. But a millennial was not born in the digital age and didn't grow up in the digital age. We watched that come into being. So I've been changing my slides, and you can't see them. I'm going to change it right now to that. So we've been watching the digital age come into being. We watched it start and grow, and we started with our flip phones and our things like that. We remember things we remember seeing things that digital natives won't remember having ever seen really in their life, except maybe like the fact that some of us millennials brag about our first computer back in the day, or we say, in my day you had to spin a little thing sometimes to make a phone call, even though that was even old for me. But we had to push buttons, physical touchable buttons, or we had TVs that were gigantic and you couldn't hang them on the wall, or they at school they had this giant arm sticking out of them and the TV was attached to that, and so that's what we saw as millennials. If you know what that is, if you know those things, you're not a digital native. Digital natives, they know, they had this in their hands from a very early age, and before psychologists started saying that it was bad or dangerous or not healthy for our kids to have phones at a young age, a very young age, or they at least say it's not beneficial in any way for them to use a screen to learn until they're about 2 years old. But before that was a reality. We just gave it to our kids. The kids just got these devices and were allowed to mess with them. So kids who are teenagers nowadays, they grew up using a phone or a device as their entertainment, or Netflix, or the DVD player, or whatever. For the rest of us, I'd go to a friend's house to play his video games because he had better ones, or he'd come to mine. We couldn't all just go to the App Store and download the same game and then network it together and play it from our own bedroom. That's the digital age. That's being a digital native. So that's kind of defines digital native. The other term is mobile native, because not only are we digital, but we're also that's very mobile. Some parents, my parents, can remember, or my mom, I guess, was born during the times when a computer that had to do what that could do far less than what my cell phone can do. That computer had to be in a giant room, and they had to take the doors out to fit it in and then put doors back in, because it was just a big computer and it was just doing math problems, which that's all it was used for. And they didn't use it for communication as much or anything like that yet. It was just solving math equations for them. Well, then it transitioned to now they can carry a full, more powerful than that computer wherever they want to go in their pocket and use it to communicate with friends. They can use it to solve math problems. There's a calculator on it. They can use it to take photos, and many of these cameras are having better photos than the cameras that that cost $300, $400 for just a camera. So the mobile natives is just as applicable of a term. I will say that at CES this year, they transitioned they're transitioning what they're saying as far as the age we live in. It's no longer being called the digital age. It's being called the connected age now, or the age of connectivity. And that's because exactly what I was just saying. Everything we have is all connected through our phones and our computers. We all have Wi-Fi. The internet doesn't even require cables much anymore. And so we have to understand that. That's the world our kids are growing up in. What does that mean for them? Well, it means several things. They'll never know a world that doesn't have the selfie. Taking a picture of themselves and posting it online for other people to rate is just how you do things. We used to have a website, I remember, that was rateme.com or howdoirate.com or something, and you'd upload a picture and then people would click if you're hot or not. Hotornot.com was one of them. And now it's not necessarily called Hot or Not, but that's basically what kids do every day with their selfies when they post images. For us, it was a big novelty sort of thing. Not a big thing, but a novelty kind of thing that you did, because that's weird, right? People could just totally vote on whether or not they think you're hot. That's crazy. Well, now digital natives, a selfie is just a very similar thing that they do, but it's just the like button, not necessarily saying hot or not. Video chat. Even video party chat, where kids can, apps like House Party or even Skype lets you do it now, where you can get more than one person in on the chat and you can all just hang out together. And so you can sit around and do your homework and have 2 or 3 friends on a chat, and you don't have to go to your friend's house to do homework. You sit there together and you do your homework together, but you're not really together. You're digitally together. You're connected through the internet, but not really through the face-to-face or whatever. And we'll get more on that in a bit. Actually, next webinar. And then the emoji, speaking without words, using images to communicate. That's silly little images. That's very just normal. That's they have games that they play. You can buy card games where you have to guess the sentence based on the 4 emojis that you see, or the movie, or whatever. It's like Pictionary or charades, but it's with emojis. And so that's just a part of their world. The filter, the image filter, goes with the selfie. They can make their pictures look however they want, and most of the time they make them look older, which they take a beautiful picture with this amazing camera, and then they add a filter that makes it look like it was taken with a cheap piece of junk in the 1970s. But whatever. And so they're able to do that. Hashtags. They know how to find people that are thinking about the same things they're thinking about. That's what a hashtag is for. It's not to add to your clever puns on your Instagram post or Facebook post, although I use it for that sometimes. But the majority, or the reason for hashtags is so if you want to see everybody talking about the Olympics right now, you can tap on the Olympics hashtag in Twitter or on Facebook or Instagram, and you'll see a whole list of the most recent or all the most popular posts about, with that hashtag, with the Olympics hashtag. And so they know how to find people who think about or are thinking about the same things they think about. And so that makes it a very unique thing for our kids, because they can join other people in thought in a way that I never could. I was stuck with the people around me, but they literally are able to think, to know what people are thinking all over the world. And that sounds like a good thing, because you know, maybe it expands your horizons or whatever, but it also can be dangerous, because they can look at it and go, hey, I want to I think this about this thing, and that's all I think about it. I'm going to find everybody who thinks the exact same thing as I do, and I'm never going to let my opinion be shifted or changed. And so the hashtag allows for more of that. Live streaming is something that's just what it is. Streaming their TV shows, Netflix and things like that. Live streaming gaming. Video games is a big deal with live streaming. I mean, there's now a league of video gamers who play these championships, and they have thousands of people watching them at one time, tens of thousands of people watching them online, tens of thousands of people sitting in the crowd live watching, but they're creating an experience for thousands and thousands of people around video gaming, and it's live streaming has created that. The like button, being approved by the like button or the heart. The snap streak, that is whenever you send a snap to your friends on Snapchat, to the same person, consecutively every day. And as far as you go, that's something they very highly value. In fact, there's an article on FamilyTechBlog.com not long ago about how Snapchat had an outage. Some people lost their snap streaks, and they were freaking out because they couldn't snap for several hours, send snaps for several hours, and it messed it up. So kind of interesting, but yeah, the snap streaks. This is their world. This is where they live and what they're a part of, and it's normal to them. One of the things they said at CES in talking about marketing to teenagers is marketing teenagers or young people, this generation, the now generation, they don't care about being tech savvy. Like that's not even a thing they talk about or think about, because they are, and all of their friends are. It's not that you're savvy, it's that's their world. Like they just, you know, when I whiz on my cell phone, there are people my same age who will go, you know, man, you're quick with that thing. You're good at that with that cell phone, man. You're just like a whiz on there. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's something that I know how to do. I've spent a lot of time messing with it and doing it, and But for them, it's everybody's good on a phone. They've been using them from the very beginning of their lives. So the digital native might care a little more about likes than actual friends. This isn't all kids. There's kids who are going to be the way they're going to be. But some kids, a lot of kids, a majority actually of kids, are starting to look more towards their acceptance on social media than they do their acceptance with real live friends and people like that and family. And so that makes things a little bit interesting in parenting, so you got to think about those things. They prefer video games or chatting online or watching videos. They prefer that to playing outside or playing board games. They like to send messages with filters, and they like to talk to their friends that way more than they like to go to their friend's house and play, maybe. And that's not all kids, but it's a lot of kids. They like short content, not because they want to quit and go do something else, but because their attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And so they prefer a video game that is going to be over in just a few 15-20 minutes, and then they can do a new game, or that the level is easy enough to beat in 10 or 15 minutes, so they can be re-bought into a new level. Or videos, they like the short 3-minute, 7-minute YouTube videos that they prefer to watch until they start getting into some of the gaming stuff, and then the games change so often that they can sit and watch a game for a while. And they prefer lots of action. They like bright colors. The digital natives like the lighting, the bright lighting, and the things like that. There's numbers I don't remember, but they used to make scenes in movies 3 times longer. A camera angle would stay on somebody's face 3 times longer than it does nowadays. Nowadays they have to shift and change from camera to camera, and like that. They shift and change camera to camera way more often because you can't do that with these younger audiences. Leave the camera on one place, they get bored and they don't like it. They're bored with the movie. If you could watch some movies from the 80s and they'll follow people walking through the woods for a solid 60 seconds, and just the camera pans as they cross the whole screen 60 seconds long while the music plays. And nowadays that won't fly. You can't do that. It's got to be fast, it's got to be moving, it's got to be going. Our digital native children and millennials who have become accustomed to this, like myself, our brains are wired to need that quick stimulation, and quick and fast and in a hurry and all the time, and not have the dead time, the downtime in between. So that's kind of the way a lot of digital natives may think. Parents are worried. This is statistics from Google's Family Link. They put together a way to supervise your kids when they use an Android phone, and so this is Google's Family Link. Some of the research they did in order to use Family Link, or to create Family Link, and they have said that 67% of parents are concerned that their kids have too much screen time. They want to be able to put time limits on it. 55% of parents admitted that they were concerned about bullying and their kids being communicated with by people that mean them harm and don't have their best interest in mind, obviously. And that parents are concerned that their kids are going to have face-to-face communication problems. Think of something like a job interview, or just having to go up to your teacher and say, hey, I think I should have got a better grade or whatever in college, or just things like that you need that face-to-face skills, but they're afraid they're not going to have them. So parents are worried. And the tech companies, we'll talk about them in a couple minutes, but the tech companies are they're doing some stuff, like the Google Family Link. Apple got a letter from their investors that said, you got to do something. These tech things are addictive to kids. It's not good. There's tech out there that if you go to familytechblog.com, you can learn all about it, but there's a lot of different stuff out there to help you set screen time limits for your kids, and it can be good. The other issue is teaching digital natives. You have to understand that kids or teachers are having to deal with this attention span issue just as much as parents are, and so the stats as we look at the Google's Be Internet Awesome, which is a digital citizenship class or course that they help teachers put their students through so that they can learn to be safer and more kind on the internet. Well, this study that they did said that 79% of kids have a smartphone. 79% of kids in these schools have a smartphone. 82% of teachers don't feel equipped to protect their students online. They don't know they don't feel like they know the right way, the right resources, the right things to put in place to protect their students. 86% of kids use the internet every single week. 86% of kids use the internet every single week, and 98% of kids get their first tech device before the age of 8. That's a stat from Common Sense Media, who did a study fairly recently. That is, those numbers are very high. They're very high, and it's very interesting because we have kids who are growing up using their parents' phone and then getting their own by the age of 8. And they're playing on their phones. They're goofing off on them all the time. Some of them are even doing school on them. Sometimes a tablet or a computer is given to them by the school. And it's just constantly how things are done, but then they become, and I've said this in a podcast before, but they become addicted. They become teenagers, and we want to fix it. We want them to stop it, but it's just not, it doesn't work very easily. And so how did we get here? How did we end up where we are with this digital natives world that we live in? And there's a lot of places you can look, and there are a lot of places you can try to place blame, but the first most parents think about, and the first one a lot of parents think, I think, is yourself as a parent. Should you blame yourself for your kid being this digital, mobile, and native, and possibly addicted to technology? Should we blame ourselves for this as parents? I don't think that we should, but I also think in some ways we need to take responsibility. Let's say that. There's a difference between blame and responsibility, as the wise man Will Smith once said. We need to take responsibility for the time spent with our kids, and we need to do it in a way that that allows them to create healthy habits with internet, not just internet safety, but screen time and things like that. We can't always blame ourselves, but we also have to look at the things we can do. We can use resources that are out there to protect our kids. Should we blame the tech companies? You know, that's another big question. And some tech companies are, I don't know if they're blaming themselves, but they are definitely looking at what they can do to curb some of these true statistics. You know, are these developers, is it their fault? They're taking some responsibility. Some of them are doing things like saying, hey, we need to build in less ways for kids or people to get addicted to our social media site. Let's remove, you know, Facebook's removing some of the viral videos that were so common on Facebook, or they're not removing them, but they're decreasing their frequency of showing up in the feed in your feed on Facebook, so you spend less time sitting watching cat videos. It's the time well spent movement, the last podcast I did. Some of them, though, they skirt the responsibility. An app that's on my uninstall list is called Musical.ly, MUSICIAL.ly, Musical.ly, and it's one where young people take videos of themselves singing and dancing to popular songs, and they, you know, the kids get addicted to this, and there's no limits to who can watch them, and there's no way to prove how old you are. And so that's an issue for some people, and they've been asked about it, the people who started the company and the people who run it, and they've been asked, hey, what about this? Why do you think this is a bad thing? And they said, you know, kids are going to do it anyway, so why even put in an age restriction? So they don't put in an age restriction. They say that if you're under 13, or if you're under 13, don't use the app, but they don't do anything to even say, you know, how old you are. And then there's apps, video chat apps and things like that, that all you got to do is put in your age, and then it pairs you up with people who are also apparently your age. But all you'd have to do is lie, and you can end up talking to whoever you want. And as parents, if we go back to the parents one, as parents, should we blame ourselves? And I said yes or no, or yes and no. We have to be careful with a few things. First of all, we have to be careful how much we rely on technology for ourselves. How much do we rely on our phone to keep us occupied? And this is my guilt. How I often, if I'm washing dishes, I'm watching something on my phone in the windowsill while I'm washing the dishes with headphones in. If I'm sitting doing nothing for very long, my phone comes out and there I am. And so when my kids are bored, the first thing they ask for is the iPad to play, or their Kindles, and they're not super into their Kindles anymore. They don't work as well as they once did. But I'm an example of that, and as parents, we have to be that example and show them that we don't lean on technology for our own selves. We use it for entertainment. We use it to benefit us when necessary, but we don't necessarily have to have it all the time. And so That's something we have to do. We also have to be careful with how much we use it to raise our kids. You know, I'll admit that Daniel Tiger helped me helped us potty train our third child, Brenna. Daniel Tiger's, you know, if you have to go potty, stop and go right away. That was one of the things that helped us so much train him. And that's an example, in my opinion, of a good way to use technology to help you raise your kids. What isn't probably as healthy or as good is when we tell them to just get out of the way, go over there and play on the iPad because I'm busy, or turn on the TV in a movie. Sometimes you got to do this, but to always be having the TV on or something like that on so that they can be watching something or be busy, or let them sit on the iPad and play, or play video games all the time. Or a dad I talked to, I did a seminar at a church, and a dad raised his hand for a question. I said, yeah. And he said, how long do you think is too long to play video games in a day? And I said, well, it depends on what they're playing. First-person shooters are not safe, are not good for kids with anxiety issues and things like that. So be careful with that, young men especially. And I said, but I would say probably a couple hours a day would be my max for my kids when they're teenagers. Right now we limit it to about 30 minutes, but if they end up doing it for an hour, sometimes that's how it falls. But anyway, I told him that, and he said, because my son sits in his room after school and he plays video games with his friends online until, you know, bedtime. So it's from 4 to 9 p.m. and then all day Saturday for 12, 14 hours, and on Sunday after church for 12 hours. And so we have tech addiction that's becoming an issue. And I told him, I said, you're going to have to make the hard choices. You're going to have to say, I'm putting away the Xbox. You're done for a while. Let's take a break. Let's start with, you know, tech, or hey, let's start with, you know, 4 hours on Saturday. That's what you're allowed. 4 hours. You can play for 4 hours, and then you're done. And then let's pare that back to 2 in a couple weeks. How about that? I said, you've got to do something, but it's hard. And as parents, sometimes it's so hard, and so we struggle. And our kids are digital natives. They're mobile natives. This is the world they know, and so they're not thinking, well, I shouldn't play this so much. This isn't right. That's just the way it is for them. That's just the way their world works. So they're not thinking about giving it up for Lent or something. They're just going to keep going until mom or dad step in and say, hey, you can't do that. You know, besides, well, at least he's out of my hair. You know, that's not the best attitude, and especially something like violent video games or surfing YouTube with no restrictions, or any internet, be on the internet at all with no restrictions, chatting with people that they may or may not know. There's a lot of danger there. We'll talk more about dangers next time when we talk about what psychologists have to say. But yeah, and so are parents to fault? Yes and no. Yes, we have to do something about it. We have responsibility. Are we to blame? That's a different thing to say, and I'm not ready to say we're to blame. But I will say, knowing what I know, if my kids go down that path, I am to blame, because I know something. And if you're sitting here watching this video and you know what you now know, when you move forward from here, if you don't make some sort of change, then I would say you are to blame. You have to take a step in the direction for change. Take the responsibility, or the blame does land on you. But what about our tech companies, people like that? Are they to blame? You know, I don't think 100%, and this is why, because for them it's all about the dollar signs. It's all about that the amount of money their company is worth and can make. And so you know, if we blame it on them 100%, it's foolish, because we have to understand that their job is to pad their bottom line, and our job is to make sure the stuff that's coming into our home and our kids' lives is the kind of stuff that meets our standards. We can't blame the standards of the industry all the time for allowing these things on the screens. Sometimes, yeah, when you have an app that's a video app for kids, you should probably do your very, very best to make sure it doesn't contain content that is definitely not for kids. I believe that. But when something blatantly says user-generated content, or something is obviously like social media, whoever wants to post on this can post on this, when that's very obvious to us as parents, we can't blame the people who developed the app for the problems that come from it when we knew what we were allowing our kids to get into. So besides, it does no good. It just doesn't do any good to point the finger at Facebook and say you're addictive and you need to stop it, or at Apple and say, your phone, my son got a text message on your phone and he had a crash and we had to get a new car and it's your fault. It doesn't do any good. It just doesn't. What does good is knowing, okay, if I install an app on my kid's phone, a certain app with a password that he can't break, when he's in the car driving, it will shut down messaging and he won't be able to send a message or receive messages. And that's what we want. That's the goal. And so you've got to know something. And that's why we're doing Raising Digital Natives. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Dr. Eric Fisher, a family psychologist and media consultant, I heard him speak at CES in a panel, and he said this sentence. He said, the problem isn't tech, it's time with your kids. And that is 100% the truth. The problem is not technology. Technology can be very good and very helpful and very beneficial, but the problem is time with our kids. If we're not involving ourselves with our kids' world, then we are missing out on their lives, we're missing out on what they're doing and what they should be doing, and we are putting them at risk. Quite frankly, we're just putting them at risk, and we have to be more careful. So I recommend that you do some things like give them a opportunity to have some shared screen time where they're playing together. Sorry, I'm trying to get all my stuff back up here. I had to look at some. Where they're playing games together. They're working on things together. Give them time to do shared screen time with you. We've been watching the Olympics together. It's on the big screen on the TV. I'm spending time with my kids. I'm even playing computer games, some of them, with my kids, and we're uploading videos of it to YouTube here and there in my new Pastor Mike Yuan gaming Facebook channel. But it's time with our kids, and Dr. Eric Fisher had a lot of really insightful things to say, and this doesn't sound like it's that insightful, but I think what it says is what I've been trying to say the last little bit, and that's this: if we aren't paying attention to what our kids are doing online, the blame will shift to us. If we know and we don't do anything about it, the blame shifts to us. They said in that conference that Dr. Eric Fisher spoke at, they said that we have given technology too much of the responsibility in parenting and in our kids. We've used the technology for things it's not intended to be used for. We have to take a step back and not do that anymore. And it's difficult and it's frustrating, but in truth, we have to, because we're behind. We have to catch up. This thing moves fast. The tech world moves fast, and we've got to catch up. If we can't catch up, if we don't work to learn about our kids and the world they grow up in, and understand what is a hashtag for, or why do they care so much about selfies or their like button or whatever. Honestly, a lot of those things are the same things we dealt with when we were kids. It just takes this digital form now. And since it's doing that, we as parents have to know what that means. We have to know what that looks like, and we have to be there for them to protect them when something bad happens. Or even better, to keep them from anything bad happening in the first place. I find that in what I'm doing the last 2 years, I've been working on internet safety training for parents. I have 9 out of 10 parents who contact me to help with something with internet safety. It's after something happened that they didn't want, that they wish hadn't happened. It's after there was a problem. I even had one who came to me and said, hey, I need you to help me. I talked to you 6 months ago and we never booked it, and now this has happened and I can't believe I did that. That's what happens, is nobody wants to do anything serious about the problem until something bad has already happened. So if you're a parent or a teacher or somebody who works with young people in church or in a nonprofit or in any way teaching dance or gymnastics or whatever, this information about digital natives and how to raise them and all that is very, very, very important for you, because this world's moving fast, and I'm doing my best to keep my finger on the pulse and help you understand it. But I'm doing my best. Hello, John. Welcome, buddy. I just now saw that. But that's the first session of Raising Digital Natives. I'm open to questions. I don't know who's watching. I can see who's in. I can see anybody who logs into the chat, but I can't see who's watching right now. So if anybody's watching that wants to ask any questions, I'm gonna give you a few minutes to do so, and then I'll answer them. But yeah, let's answer questions about Raising Digital Natives. And John's here; he can help me answer questions. I don't expect him to ask any, maybe, but I don't think so. He could answer them with me, with his special skills and knowledge. But I'm gonna shut her down in probably about 5 minutes, and we'll call it a stream. But yeah, I'd like to. I'm gonna say yo in the chat. Hey, dude. Chat's slow to load. Slow to load. So any questions? I'm not seeing any questions. All right, let me just tell you to go to familytechblog.com as often as you can. I'm updating that. I wrote 4 articles this week. News articles, product reviews, tutorials, things like that. It's another free website. I can't offer. I have trouble asking for money for this stuff. Switch to my face here. You want to see that, don't you? I have trouble asking for money for this stuff. And then something like shooting that happened in Florida this week. I was just thinking and praying, and actually was looking at a couple things on Twitter where that was. Some people saying, you know, thanks for your thoughts and prayers, but we need action and we need something to happen. And thank you, John, for the question. I'll answer it in just a second. And I said, and I'm just like, they're right. Like, prayer's good. I want to pray, and I'm gonna keep praying for people, and I'll send thoughts if they prefer to call my prayers thoughts. Then that's fine too with me. But there's something I do that I think can help parents. Maybe taking charge of some kid's social media as a parent will help that kid not get influenced by the kind of people that lead you down a dangerous or hurtful path, or you see the warnings and you don't send your kid to school that day, or I don't know. But this is what I know to do, and so I'm doing it, and I took away the cost because I can't charge for this. It's too important. It's too important. John Wilkerson asks, what do you see on the horizon that parents should look out for? I think for me, the thing the industry is very excited about right now that gives me pause, we'll say, is how connected everything is. I'm really concerned, the more I study it and look into it, about voice assistants and connected cameras in our homes. I tested out a connected camera for a company called Sense8. I liked it. It was cool. I could check in and see what was happening in my living room at any time. I haven't written the article yet because I haven't landed on exactly what I think about it. You know, I'm not like, I'm going to recommend this. This is a good product. If as far as it working and stuff, yeah, that's easy. It did. It was great. But safety-wise, I sent them a few questions about the security of it, and I wasn't blown away by their answers. It was just the standard terms and agreements, product services kind of answer, and I don't know. I just don't know. So how connected everything is, the Internet of Things, you know, IoT or Internet of Things is basically your refrigerator, toaster, mirror, scale, thermostat, locks on your doors, everything being connected to the internet. And here's what concerns me about it. Number one, if it's all connected, it's all controllable from outside of your home. Number two, people usually err on the side of cost efficiency, and so they're not buying the best brands. And what I've found is that a lot of these cheaper brands, their security protocols are not as good, and then people don't know how to set them up. The other issue is security updates, because when a IoT device comes out, say a refrigerator by a B-level manufacturer, a refrigerator comes out and they put that together, comes out, it's super cool, it's got a screen on it and you're excited about it, but they come out with their next line of refrigerator, they stop sending out updates to that refrigerator software or firmware, and then all of a sudden you've got security problems because they need that's one of those things those updates do. And so and that's a little more tech nerd than parenting, I guess. But when it comes to having a camera in your kid's room, or a camera inside their fridge looking to see what you have in the refrigerator so we can order more stuff, but then when you open the door you can see out into the world, that kind of stuff, that I'm not doing that. I also have a wife who will not do that, and so yeah, I just think that that was my mom. How do I get to the webinar? I'm like, I'm finishing right now. That's probably my thing, is just be very cautious and pay close attention to your Internet of Things devices, and then because it's gonna turn into, and I saw some at CES, like babysitter robots kind of things, or cameras that will alert you if something's bad, so parents feel like I can leave my kid, the whole leaving my kid with the screen because I'm busy. Well, now that I'm leaving my kid with the screen and the camera's watching them, so I'm just gonna run to the store. Just things, the way people treat some of the things that they get makes me go, I don't know if that's what something I would feel comfortable knowing most parents have. So yeah, I don't know. That's my answer to that question as far as what's on the horizon. And it's not really on the horizon, it's kind of already here. And as far as voice assistants, I know why they're so cheap. They're cheap because they sell your information. That's why Apple's is so expensive, and that's why Siri is so bad, because Siri's privacy settings are too strict for her to be smart, like Google or Amazon. I don't know what Amazon's Alexa, I guess, is the name of the voice, but yeah, so that's why you've got a $400 smart speaker or a $40 little Google Home Mini, because that $40 Google Home Mini, it's everything you ask it, everything you tell it, you're now going through their portal to get everything you want to get and know everything, and it knows everything you want because it's through their portal. And they can sell that information or just use it to make more money, so they don't have to sell the product for as much. So I just think that's something, and I know it's foil hat kind of, but I just read about this stuff all day, every day, so that's where I'm at on it. And it's interesting to me. I'm a nerd about it, so I follow some guys on YouTube who do some computer stuff, and they're very nerdy, and they will not. They are white hat hacker kind of guys, and they will not have a voice assistant in their home because they're like, not me, not gonna happen. And they're actually probably targets, so that's even worse. But anyway, all right, it's 3:45. So John, your question took me right up to the end of my scheduled time. I appreciate it. I appreciate you showing up, John. Thank you for the support, and you've always been such a great support in so many ways, and I'm really grateful for that. So is my mom, who I have not texted back. I'm gonna tell her wrapping it up now. But yeah, she's also been very supportive, the whole giving birth to me thing. So, but thank you for watching, and if you're watching this later, please go to, or if you're watching this later, you have already subscribed. But what you could do, what I would love for you to do, is email me what kind of day and time would be good for a live event for you to attend, because I want to do another live event next month, and I want people there. So imagine that. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and check us out at becausefamily.org, familytechblog.com. Tell your friends about this information. It's free now. Tell them they deserve it. They need it. It's helpful. If you believe that, I do. And thank you again. Thanks for your support. And we'll see you when we do this again. And in between there, we'll see you on podcasts and the blog posts and all that stuff. So bye-bye. Thank you.